The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
The Dave Hooker Show. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports. Objective insight, expertise, top guests. Available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the Off the Hook Sports app. Download now for free. Also available on offthehooksports.com.
I compute and obey.
Now to Dave Hooker.
Ready.
Live now as we're up and running for the next couple of hours. Got a lot of things to dive into. Austin Ward will join us. He covers Ohio State for On 3. So a lot of topics to get to. Apologize for those that saw me a little under the weather as we work out some blood sugar issues, but I'm good. All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling, Caleb. And this will be today's tough question. First of all, let me ask, how are you, sir?
I am good. How are you doing, Dave?
Never better. Today's tough question is now, and it's brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Is Tennessee hijacking Ohio State's football tickets for the college football playoff game? Because I got the email when the announcement was made that it was Tennessee at Ohio State. And they were very particular as to how you go about getting tickets. This is not like a bowl game, guys, where it's going to be 50-50 theoretically, or even 60-40 if a team like Tennessee did back in the day promises to buy more tickets. They go into this thing expecting to sell all the tickets, right, Caleb?
Yes, they do.
So it's not nearly as easy to get a ticket for this as it is the Tampa Bay Bowl game or the Citrus Bowl game or whatever the case may be bowl game. So as a matter of fact, it's much easier. I've known people that have gone up to the bowl game. They had the Chick-fil-A game at Mercedes Field. I've known people that have gone up to that bowl and paid face value for a ticket. I know you get excited about it, but the expectation is these tickets will be sold out, so they're harder to get. So how is Tennessee making a run at hijacking these tickets?
All right, so this comes from Twitter, Vol Fan for Life 21. So, 2 nights ago, an Ohio State season ticket holder decided to give him, he reported, the season ticket holder season ticket code for the pre-sale. He had to prove he was an Ohio State fan, so he photoshopped an Ohio State jersey on himself, and it worked. And he basically scooped up a bunch of tickets and resold them specifically to Vol fans. So that's one way. But there have been more stories on how the resale market has basically led to Ohio State fans are basically apparently a certain portion went to season ticket holders more than usual, and many of them are selling them on the resale market, and Tennessee fans have been scooping them up. So
okay, let me ask you this. Under this breakdown where it's going to go to season ticket holders, and I don't think most of those guys are going to sell their tickets for day to try to get rid of the tickets so they have less support. Maybe some. I just don't see that being a big factor in the makeup of the stadium. So I ask you this, best case scenario, Tennessee has an X% of fans in the stadium. Because we've never been here before. We've never seen a college football playoff game on a campus. We don't know what it's going to be like. And then you have the added layer of, I talked to somebody at Ohio State that covered them and said, oh yeah, they want Ohio State to lose to get rid of Ryan Day. No question. It's not for Urban Meyer, but that is what the fan base wants to happen.
Yeah, I think best case scenario, I think they could get up to 40%. I want to be honest. I think Ohio State could get up to 40%, and it's twofold, Dave, because here's the other issue. Ohio State fans, many of them reportedly aren't just getting rid of their tickets because they want Ryan Day fired. If they do care about the program, and you only have one option, this or the Rose Bowl. Many of them are choosing to buy Rose Bowl tickets instead. And just assuming that that they're going to win this game and go to the Rose Bowl and face Oregon. You know all too well about teams' fan base maybe buying tickets to a Rose Bowl game that they think they have locked down a little bit prematurely.
Yes. And I think too that if I'm planning, okay, you have to at some point fit a budget, right? I mean, you can't just say there's this endless football budget. If I'm planning, if I can just take one trip, I'm not gambling on the Rose Bowl because I might never get another opportunity to see a game in Columbus again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but Dave,
I'm just telling you I'm just trying to look at this the way people are planning. I would more likely go all into this. I've seen a game at the Rose Bowl. If you're one of those fans that travel, you've seen that. You see what I'm saying? If you have to pick, if Santa only has one trip under the tree, are you going to load up and take this one when it could cost you more money, or are you going to see what happens and take the Rose Bowl trip?
Well, Santa Claus is a gambler, so he's going to the Rose Bowl. Yeah, Santa Claus. I'm surprised Santa even gets his gifts out on time, because if I were Santa, I'd be going to Vegas just the whole night and just be hanging out there. But Dave, come on, man, got to gamble, got to take a risk, go for the Rose Bowl.
Well, the thing about it too is Vegas is only 2 hours from LA, so you've got that out there too. And you got to think your Rose Bowl tickets are not going to lose value. So if you want to go ahead and buy them now and see if the flight works out, you could. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. Banks. Today's tough question was originally this, and why the Vols or how the Vols are hijacking Ohio State tickets, and that's a very real thing. The other thing I wanted to work in, it seems like an awful lot of national media are picking Tennessee. Am I wrong there? Doesn't it seem like Tennessee's kind of the in vogue pick, which I don't think you want to be. I think you want to be the team that nobody really talks about, that, yeah, they're just going to go to Columbus and get beat. I think that's what you want. But I think Tennessee's the in vogue road team to talk about for good reason.
Well, yes, Tennessee seems to have the wind at their back for this game. Cole Kublik, who has been on our
nice line, by the way. What did Cole say, by the way? I know he likes the Vols big.
Oh, yes. He said that Tennessee, Ohio State, he said, this is the easiest one for me in all these matchups. I'll take Tennessee because that defensive line is going to dominate. Ohio State is down to left tackle. You're down Seth McLaughlin at center. Just in the last couple of weeks, I don't care about whether Tennessee's defensive front wins this game. Nico's not going to have to do any heavy lifting, is what he said. Now, the reason that stands out is, Dave, you know it. I know it. Nobody pays attention. You talk about it all the time, how the war daddies, the big nasties, are what win games in the college football playoff. Is there anybody in college football that pays more attention to that and that alone than Cole Kublik among analysts?
No, I think he's excellent. I think he does as good of a work as any analyst in college football, or actually, I'll take it a step further, as any analyst out there, period.
Yeah, he's the only true analyst that all he does is watch the war daddies up front. That's all he analyzes pretty much. And he's saying straight up, guys, Tennessee's going to win the line of scrimmage. He is insisting that Tennessee's going to win the line of scrimmage. And if Tennessee can win the line of scrimmage, look, we just saw it. Michigan, whatever else you think about Michigan, David, they're not good this year, but I think we both agree Michigan is still very good on the line of scrimmage, right?
Yes.
Look at what they did to Ohio State as a team that's very good on the line of scrimmage. They went to the horseshoe and won. Tennessee has better skill players than Michigan does this year, but I think Tennessee can definitely win on the line of scrimmage. Paul Feinbaum called the game a dead heat. He doesn't know who's going to win. Colin Cowherd is high on Tennessee too. He recently said, I'm going to pull up that comment of what he said in 1 second, but
While you're
Well, he
doing
could-
that, let me remind everyone you can go to the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED. That's HOOKED for 10% off. Yes, Caleb?
Okay, so here's his exact quote. And Colin Cowherd finally said something, and I'm glad he said it. He said, Ohio State's at home as a favorite, but they're wobbling. Their O-line is a bit of a mess, and Tennessee's defensive front is stout. Ohio State, to me, is going to be lousy. It's going to be lousy weather. That hurts their great receiving core. It's going to be 38 degrees, cold, and wet. That's a bad matchup for the Buckeyes. You've seen a lot of Ohio State. I don't like that game for Ohio State. And Joel Klatt completely agreed with Colin Cowherd's take on this. And he actually said, if you look at the games in which Ohio State struggled, this is Joel Klatt now, he said mainly on the offensive side, you would point to the Nebraska game and you would point to the Michigan game. And the thing is, they were very stout in the interior of their defensive line. That's the whole deal. And a team that was committed to running the football on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Those two teams had terrible offenses, and Ohio State survived against Nebraska with the fourth down goal line stand with their defense and didn't survive against Michigan. So this is not a great matchup. They are both saying because Tennessee's defensive line, interior defensive line is so good, they are the best matchup for Ohio State, which has struggled with elite interior lines. And I'm glad Colin Cowherd said the thing about cold weather, because everybody's thinking that, oh, this is the SEC ready for the cold weather country. One, anybody that knows geography, Knoxville's up in the mountains. It's not that much warmer in Knoxville than it is in Columbus. I mean, let's be honest.
No,
So
but I will say this. I think when you point out that they may not play hard at times, that's coaching, right? That's hard. I mean, that's if they've got that problem, then yes, they need to shoot Ryan Day and hire Urban Meyer like tomorrow.
yeah, but the issue is not that they don't play hard; they're just soft
Yeah,
in the middle.
Well, and also if you've noticed this, which you kind of pointed out, it's not that they give up big gashes early in the running game; they get leaned on. And I mentioned the whole Philip Fulmer, keep pounding on the rock and it'll eventually break. That was his old saying. And most of the time, if you're better, they will. So in some cases, you don't even have to be better. And I think there have been times this year that Ohio State has gotten leaned on. I've gone back and watched a ton more of their games than the last time I talked to you. Hound Dogs of Knoxville, champions look good in orange, great in orange. HDKnoxville.com, HDKnoxville.com. And then I want to change gears here, if I may, Caleb. Anything else that you wanted to add on this? Because I heard something today that was so what the H that it wasn't what the H. If that
Yes, the only thing I wanted to add is I think people bring up Ohio State's defense and their rush yards per carry allowed, but you're right. It's about sticking with it and wearing them down. The strategy is, who remembers the early 2000s Steve McNair Titans with a former Ohio State running back and Eddie George. Eddie George never averaged more than 3.5 yards a carry. The thing was, it got very, very difficult to tackle him in the fourth quarter when he kept pounding the rock.
Amen. Amen. And there have been a lot of running backs that have made a career on that. Don't doubt that for a second. What the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show,
Keep cool.
a presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Okay, so I want to play off this report on the Dan Patrick show. I'm a pretty big Dan Patrick fan, and he reported something that I knew was the case, but I think it gives us a little bit more of a foundation to set our feet on and decide what's right and wrong. And this is wrong. It's dead wrong. Dan Patrick said he knew of, and keep in mind that he is from Ohio. He's going to care more about the Ohio State game. He can call whoever he wants to about whichever game he wants. That's probably going to be the game he calls it about. And he said he's aware of 2 or 3 players that were noteworthy, but were not national household names, Caleb. That to me fits right in line with a Chaz Nimrod. Okay. And that their players had announced they were entering the portal and they wanted to continue to play. And the coach said, So I can't tell you 100% if this is about Chaz Nimrod, if this is about any of the players that have transferred from Tennessee or have announced their decision to transfer. But I want to go ahead and be really, really clear. Chaz Nimrod would not be anywhere close to a practice field that had a power tee on it. And I don't know that I completely said that on Tuesday when this first came out. I thought it was a given. No. You don't get your cake and get to eat it too. You don't get to go play in a college football playoff game that your brothers have worked so hard to get to, and they know this is all or nothing for some of them. A lot of these guys will not play another competitive game of football when that's over. We forget about that. We think everybody goes to the NFL. No, that's not going to be the case. Ask Ollie Lane. Yeah, he was participating in competitive football last year, could have won a championship. Boom, it's gone. So you're not allowed to be anywhere near my college football program if you have announced the decision that you will transfer in this portal. And I don't really give a damn if the calendar doesn't work itself out to your liking. It's not right. It's not the calendar's not right. You are where you are, and you can just go sit over there, Skippy, because I got nothing for you.
Well, what you're saying, and I agree with you, by the way, too. If you hit the portal, you can't be near the football program. But are you suggesting that Chaz Nimrod was negotiating with another school and then got caught, and that's when the Heupel and company were saying, "Hey, go ahead, hit the portal. You're not near the football program."
I'm suggesting, based off what he reported, that everybody is currently negotiating
with other schools.
Yes, which to me is fine. If you're going to the Citrus Bowl, okay, that's fine. But if you still have a championship to play for, get away from my program. Get away. Go away. I don't care if you won the leadership award as the best overall student and that you saved an entire country in third world Africa because you provided them with this technology they needed to turn rainwater into purified drinking water. I don't care. You're off. You're gone. Goodbye.
This is crazy if players are doing this though. If they're negotiating, if they're on college, so did Dan Patrick report for college football playoff teams? There's negotiations going on by some players.
And he reported that two of the players, not noteworthy, two of the players were told you're no longer needed. I don't know if this was Tennessee. I do not know. But that's exactly the stance I would take. Go, Josh Heupel. You built this product on the corporate culture and the ability to get together. Don't flip on it now. Stick by your guns. If they don't want to make a run at the college football playoff championship, then listen, you misjudge their character because that's not the kind of kid you want around and just go ahead and get rid of them now. It happens when you hire 25 people each and every offseason, you're going to have some bad apples in the bunch, Caleb. And they found, I believe, a couple of bad apples in the bunch.
This is crazy, though, if players are negotiating with other schools with a championship on the line. Think about the ramifications that could have. And this is why you have to do what you're saying, Dave. What if they're negotiating with other schools in the playoff?
There is no question that they are.
I mean, then all of a sudden you talk about giving away playbooks, right? And now we're opening a whole new can of worms. And I just thought about this. What's to stop? Tennessee plays Ohio State. What's to stop Ohio State going to Chaz Nimrod and saying, here's a bunch of NIL money to transfer to us. But first, we want you to stay on the practice field at Tennessee. And maybe why don't you just give us a few of their plays that they're working on? I'm not saying Chaz Nimrod's doing that. I'm not accusing him of that.
I'll go ahead and accuse somebody of doing it.
Somebody's doing it.
Given the numbers that we're talking about, what, 8 to 12 guys per team that are going to transfer out, you can't tell me somebody hasn't been approached.
I totally agree. You're right. And so at that point, we're talking about
nothing illegal about that, to my knowledge. It's immoral as hell, but
no, it's not illegal. But at that point, what can college football do to stop it? That's an insane level of tampering, isn't it?
Well, you have to change. I mean, you have to change the calendar, but that's
not going to change the tampering. I mean, you can't stop the tampering, though.
Well, it can't hurt. I mean, that's got to be the first move you've got to make. You've got to change the calendar somehow.
What about this? I never even thought about this. You don't even have to get them to transfer to your school. What if somebody from Ohio just says, hey, here's some NIL money. Why don't you just tell me what your team's going to run against us on Saturday? I mean, they don't even have to transfer.
Technically, all he would have to do is post a social media message that said anything. anything, because that would constitute work for pay. So he could constitute. I mean, he could tweet out, "Can't wait to see the Buckeyes and the Vols play on Saturday," even though he's getting paid by an Ohio State booster. He could tweet that out and get paid and hand in the playbook. The calendar is so messed up, it's ridiculous. That's so just wild. The beginning. That's just the beginning. What the H, brought to you by Medicare Misty.
I've been in business actually 19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Here's the other word we didn't get into. You know what the key word is here, right here in this whole negotiation?
What?
Motivation. Motivation. That's what they're always looking for in those crime shows that I have to sit up and watch at night. And they're already motivated because they think they should have played more at their previous school.
They already have a motive, axe to grind. You're right. That's very true.
Really. If you gave me $100,000 and you said, "Dave, you got to the end of the week to find an Ohio State playbook," do you think I could do it?
Yes. Yes, you could do it. It would be the easiest thing in the world. I mean, first of all, we'll talk about him later, but we got a new coach coming to college football. You could just call him and be like, "Hey, can you show me how you got all those playbooks from other teams?" That would be the easiest thing in the world to do. This is a can of worms that we're talking about that is very real, very disturbing, and oh my gosh, it is crazy. Now I'll say this: been some suspicious things in the past at other levels. Dave, I always thought, did you not think it was suspicious in the pros when Kevin Durant played for Oklahoma City? They choked away a 3-1 lead, and then he went to go play for Golden State the next year after choking a 3-1 series lead to them the year before. A little bit suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anybody's straight up trying to throw games, but I mean,
I think Doug Dickey threw the Gator Bowl against Florida in 1969. He took the Florida job the next day.
No, I know, but see, the problem is, is this even a violation of a law? That's the question I have for you.
No.
If I go, think for a second. If I go offer up some cash for Chaz Nimrod's playbook, and he's already shown me, I'm sorry, Chaz, and you may be the best person in the history, man. You've already shown me that you're ready to cut out on your team. So that's troubling. Is it not? Is that not enough to make you worry?
This is why the NCAA screwed up fighting against NIL for so many years. Had they come up with a plan in the 90s to set up a standard, or in the 2000s to set up a standard, there would have been no lawsuit. But now the court had to step in and say, well, no, lawsuit has to go. And now you have the Wild West and it's chaos. It's kind of similar. I actually listened to a great segment on sports gambling as someone who does love sports gambling. But when the Supreme Court struck it down in 2018, what should have happened is the federal government should have tried to address a way to, kind of have stipulations and standards on sports gambling, but they fought to just outright ban it everywhere. So the Supreme Court had to strike that down. Well, now sports gambling is out of whack, and it is playing on the addictions of people in an insane way. It's actually going as bad as the opioid crisis is for people right now in some ways. It is, people are losing a ton of money, and domestic violence is up. There's a great NPR segment on it, guys. You guys should listen to it, about just what sports gambling, unregulated sports gambling has done. This is what happens. You fight against something, you fight against something, you fight against something, you lose, and now the Berlin Wall falls, and you have total chaos because you never actually addressed the issue. What you should have done is accepted that this would be allowed, NIL, and said, let's try to set up standards and stipulations and regulations with it. But instead, they fought it so hard, and then the Supreme Court struck it down, and now you've opened Pandora's box. There's going to be lawsuit after lawsuit anytime a player does anything anytime there's any rule that limits a player's chances to make more money for himself, no matter how reasonable that rule is, it's going to be struck down in court. Because the NCAA fought for so long against it. I mean, that's their fault. And now we got chaos, and I don't know how you fix it.
No, I don't know how you fix it either, because listen, you can talk about the calendar, and the calendar doesn't behoove me as a potential transfer portal. Bleep, you pay me. You remember that scene in Casino? Bleep, you pay me. But my place burned down. Bleep, you pay me. But I can't afford it. Bleep, you pay me. I mean, it doesn't matter when your little academic calendar runs. Bleep, you pay me. And they have all the leverage. So what's to stop them? I mean, you have completely got to remove these people from your program. There's no more good feelings about just hanging out by a program. And
how do you know though? How do you know if they're doing it? If you're the coach.
I think you have an idea. I really do. I think you have an idea that I'm not going to name the names that I've been led to believe, but I don't think you're worried about Bison Lang, and I don't think you're worried about Khalifa Keith. I think they made a pure business decision. I think there's a couple of other situations where I'd be a little bit more concerned. And I hate to say that about a member of a football team. And it's, you'll find that I don't question injuries. I don't question heart, dedication, because I don't think that's my space. But after what I heard from Dan Patrick talking about a game that I know he cares a lot about, and the fact that Tennessee just had two guys in Spillman and Nimrod that left at very curious times.
Webb and Nimrod.
Webb and Nimrod, excuse me. I'm just telling you that I would I'd move on. They wouldn't need to be a part of my program anymore.
What do you think, Dave? What are these odds?
That they will be?
No. What the chat that I put up? Odds that Caleb's wife beats him for blowing Quincy's college fund.
Pretty high. You can always throw a super chat in there to benefit Quincy Calhoun's college fund. Coming up, it'll be Austin Ward of On 3 joining us. We'll get his thoughts as it's the Buckeyes and Tennessee. It doesn't get more exciting than that. That's pretty awesome. How about Peak IV Hydration? They're awesome in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live life to your fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. And they have the patches online. Try the patches one time and tell me what you think. Try them one time. They'll give you energy. They'll give you hydration. They'll take care of you. More after this. Austin Ward will join us. Stay tuned. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
I've been in business actually 19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com. Dave Hooker here for Dynasty Pools and Spas. Your home for the best spas and everything you need to jump right in. Relaxing? Therapeutic? Absolutely. But what sets Dynasty Pools and Spas apart from others is that you get everything with any spa purchase. You get the cover lift, the steps, delivery, and chemicals. When Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers your spa from their Athens location within 125 miles, you'll get your own personal hydrotherapy spa. Mention me, Dave Hooker, or Off the Hook Sports, and get $500 off your top quality new spa. Dynasty Pools and Spas, just off the Athens exit. Drop in and receive a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for a drop-in prize and that $500 discount, Dynasty Pools and Spas. To check out some of the Dynasty Spa models and to buy spa chemicals, go to dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas.
The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
Who's this guy?
Hello, wizard.
The Dave Hooker Show,
Who?
a presentation of Off the Hook Sports,
What?
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
All right, welcome back to the program as we're going to be joined by a very special guest that we look forward to visiting with. And I enjoy having him on just no matter what, but we've actually got a game to talk about too. I remind you, Dynasty Pools and Spas, the best spas right here in Athens, Tennessee. That's East Tennessee. The best chemicals for your pool and spa. In Athens, just stop by, mention Off the Hook Sports, and they're going to give you a free prize. You can get a t-shirt or you can get a book if you would choose that, or and you can get $500 off by just mentioning Off the Hook Sports. So with Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker. Austin Ward joins us now as redheads can indeed cover football, but yours isn't as red as it used to, and mine's getting white.
I'm trying to catch up with you. I thought that was the key. You want to get it as white as possible. Remove the red.
Yep. Tell everybody how those that follow Ohio State can follow your work, because obviously they're on the radar.
Yeah, they can follow any number of ways. I've been co-hosting pretty much every day on 97.1 The Fan, so you can tune into that on YouTube, or you can, whatever the app is for that, I don't even know. That's just whatever they point me to, you can show it there. But the main stuff is the podcast. That is on every platform that is out there, and YouTube. That is we have the podcast daily. We have film breakdowns, interviews later on Thursday. I'll be talking with Ohio State's athletic director, Ross Bjork, getting ready for, the next 9 days, and a lot of intrigue around Ryan Day. So we'll cover all of that. And then Twitter, A-Ward Sports, and what else? Ohio State's rivals site, dotting the I's. So if you can't find me, you're just not looking.
No, and just continue to look, because you will find him there. So from what I hear, and this is not a confirmed source, but they just basically want to beat Ryan Day with a baseball bat.
Who's they, Dave?
I just the sources that I'm.
They do.
Yeah, I'm not exclusively sourcing or crediting them, but I'm just saying that's basically what I hear.
It's been a rough week and a half for Ohio State fans, for Ryan Day. The Buckeyes set out 3 goals every single year that they want to win the rivalry game, beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship. Both of those are already out the window, and they have been for 4 years in a row now. So that is a huge point of frustration. I cannot emphasize that enough. There is a third goal, which is to win a national championship. And a lot of these players, that's all they have to cling to at this point, because the seniors, the class that came back last year, they were doing so to win a set of gold pants for beating Michigan. And that did not happen in their career. That is pretty rare for that to occur for any classes of Buckeyes. And that I think is one of the biggest motivational points or questions or concerns going into next Saturday night is, can this team regroup from the emotional gut punch that they had? But the fact that it's not just that class, it is Ryan Day not winning in the rivalry for the last 4 years has certainly upped the temperature around the program, put even more pressure. Any game at Ohio State is going to be pressure packed, and Ryan Day has said that since the first day that he took over. Then Urban Meyer said it before that. If you don't think there's pressure on every game, try losing one. That is a very common expression around the coaching staff in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. But doing that 4 consecutive years, and with everything pointing towards winning that game, 3 touchdown favorites, better roster top to bottom, what you'd think was a better coaching staff, playing that game at home, Michigan's inability to throw the football. The fact that they lost that game was stunning, shocking, the biggest upset maybe in the history of that rivalry, and it has, certainly generated a different level of conversation about Ryan Day.
They are still playing for a national championship, though, right?
They are, yeah. And I think in the first week after they lost the game, it was, easy to overlook that part, because those first two goals that I mentioned, there is a large segment of the Ohio State fan base that would rather beat Michigan than win a national championship. And I think that's part of the reason that people look around. There's been more things written about Ryan Day and more things said about the Ohio State fan base, because there are people nationally that just can't believe that that's true. But it's been 13 seasons, Dave, since I left Knoxville and moved up here. And I can tell you that there's a huge number of those people that exist. One might even live in my house. So that's it is an adjustment, but I do think that they're
I want to clarify what you're saying. That want Ohio State to lose so that it undermines.
No. Not saying that. No. That they want to beat Michigan. That's more important to them than a national championship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going down that other road. That's a different conversation. But and I understand why. But it is part of the adjustment of expectations in the new era that Ohio State itself is probably not going to put Michigan above a national championship. Like they're difficult to win, and there's more national value and cachet that comes with that. And I know that there are people that will hate that I'm saying that out loud, and I'm not blaming them if that's for how anyone feels, but I'm just saying for Ohio State itself and for Ross Bjork, like an athletic director or presidents or administrators, I don't think that they're going to tie up their entire evaluation of Ryan Day on the game, but it definitely doesn't help him in any way, shape, or form that he's lost it 4 times in a row.
So, Alston.
Yeah.
People like to troll, fans like to troll, and people like to have fun. And it was only one person, and people are already acting like it's a law, but it's not. But I'm sure you saw the Ohio State representative who proposed a law banning flag planting at Ohio Stadium. What are your thoughts on just even floating that, given the fact that now Ohio State's just getting massively trolled by everybody across the country?
Let me stop here for a second. I'm just glad everything is going so well in the economy up there in Ohio, so that they have extra time to spend on things like this, because everything must be going swimmingly. I love that they have time to spend on this.
Yeah, we don't have anything else going on up here. It's just worrying about pepper spray and flag planting. Yeah, it's perfect. Everything is wonderful. I hope you get to come experience the San Diego of the Midwest next Saturday night, Dave. But I think it was a little bit embarrassing, frankly. And because Ohio State players themselves, former Ohio State players themselves, are coming out and say, well, one way that you can stop flag planting in the horseshoe is by just winning the game. I think all of us could agree for that, Caleb. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And I think had anybody involved in floating this legislation asked Ohio State, hey, should we do this? Would this help you? They would have said, no, please do not do this.
Please let it go.
Like, move on. Especially because it's like very specific language. Like, you can't plant it at midfield at the horseshoe. Well, would we have to argue? Could you plant it in the end zone? Like, it was so dumb. And I think it's the kind of stuff that Ohio State wishes didn't occur. Like, that's not how the Buckeyes themselves feel. I think, and I actually kind of enjoyed the fact that they showed that post-game fight there. That didn't occur when Baker Mayfield did it necessarily, and it was kind of a surprise. But like the fact, because I thought that the Buckeyes themselves, I put the loss in Michigan on the coaching staff. I think it was a terrible game plan, and primarily on offense. I think the Buckeyes in previous losses to Michigan maybe did not match the physicality, the energy, the intensity that Michigan played with. But they did last Saturday. So I don't put it on them. And the fact that carried over post game, I thought was probably more encouraging about the culture and the mentality of this team as they try and regroup for Tennessee next Saturday night.
Dave, before you jump in, can I just to give the politician who did this just to give him his side and why he's saying he's doing this?
Well, I
real
would
quick?
hate for him not to get promo off tackling this serious issue.
Yes, it's Ohio lawmaker Ohio State Rep Josh Williams, and it would be a 5th-degree felony. And his quote was, after it happened at 5 separate games during rivalry week and seeing that there was no immediate movement, I thought it was necessary to send a signal to our institutions of higher learning that they need to come up with policies to prevent this in the future so it doesn't risk harm to our law enforcement officers or student athletes or fans. So he's just thinking about the police.
Okay, Austin, here's the thing, too. You know this.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, it would end up being called on an Ohio State player. I don't care who we cover, whether it's Tennessee or Ohio State. A 5th-degree felony would be called on the player that you put in position to not have that. Somehow, it would happen.
Yeah, it sure will. I mean, there's always unintended consequences, right? When the politicians get involved, and that's sort of, this is a wild tangent, but I think that's why it's so amusing when you hear people talk about NIL and the transfer portal, and gosh, Congress needs to step in and do something about it. Do they? Is that what we need involved in college football? The misreading of the room seems pretty clear when we're talking about banning a flag planting celebration. It's like, get real and actually maybe focus on something that might matter.
Okay, let's focus on this. How does Tennessee beat Ohio State? What do they need to do? I've started scouting the Buckeyes, but obviously, you know, those two conferences can fly off each other's radar. So you know more about them than I do.
Yeah, I think you look at Tennessee's rushing success. I personally have a hard time thinking that they can win solely by running the football. I know they're very good. I think I've heard some of the conversation going on in Knoxville, saw SEC network breakdown, said, well, there's no way Tennessee won't be able to run the football. I'm here to tell you, I think it's unlikely that they would be able to build an offensive game plan that would be very successful running the football at Ohio State's defense. This is it's statistically been one of the best defenses in the country all year long. And the best thing that they do is stop the run. With that front four that they have, Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton at tackle, JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer on the edge, and a bunch of really athletic linebackers where they've expanded beyond just Cody Simon and Sonny Styles and have Arvell Reese out there doing some things as well. Like, that front seven is elite, and they do not get beat on the ground very often. So if there's a path forward, if they can run the football, I mean, that changes the equation. I'm just going to start by saying I think it's unlikely. But if they can stretch the football, if Josh Heupel is willing and able to stretch the field, there have been times where Ohio State has struggled in pass coverage at corner specifically. The safeties are two of the best in the country, probably the best tandem in the country with Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom. But there have been a lot of, basically every single week, you can count on one pass interference penalty from Davis Igbinosun, and then Denzel Burke, who came back and was projected as a potential first-round NFL draft cornerback. Since the Oregon game, he has been getting picked on each and every week. He was the one who was getting victimized repeatedly against the Ducks in that shootout loss in Eugene. And they've tried to expand the rotation. They brought Jermaine Matthews in there to play some corner, and they're trying to mix and match that a little bit. And I think some of the conversation in Columbus has shifted away. At the end of that game, you know, they did miss a tackle, and Khalil Mullings broke off a 3rd and 6 run that really helped run out the clock. But the fact that Michigan couldn't throw the football has sort of put that conversation on the back burner. If Tennessee is able to do that and willing to take chances down the field, that's where I think they're more likely to have some success. And then, you know, the intrigue in Columbus right now is what's going to happen on the offensive line. We know what Tennessee's defensive front can do as well. It's like, it feels kind of cliche. You know, we cover the SEC and the Big Ten. I think any game that we ever cover or watch, we're going to say it's going to come down to the trenches. But that's really true here for Ohio State offensively, with the injuries to Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin. And then the top backup tackles, and Mahalski was injured. They've had to shuffle around the pieces, and they're going to do that again because they were, and not because of injury, but because of lack of performance at right guard in the loss to Michigan. So we don't know who that new starter is going to be, or if there's going to be one, although we expect that's going to happen. But, you know, you don't really want to be rolling out first-time starters against a Tennessee front that's got multiple NFL draft picks ready to go attack the quarterback. So those are the places that I'm looking, Dave. And I think that's probably not breaking any major news, but those are sort of the pieces and personnel to be aware of.
Austin, give me I know Caleb wants to jump in there. Give me your Twitter handle real quick if you don't care. I'm having trouble finding it.
It's A Ward Sports.
All right, there you go. All right, take off, Caleb.
Austin, all right, I'm gonna throw 2 conspiracy questions at you separately, but I'm gonna start with the previous one. I argued that because of the stupid way they set up this college football playoff bracket, they incentivize teams to not only not win their conference title, but not go to their conference title. I get what you say about Ohio State, Michigan, but knowing that because of the previous rankings the week before that
he's going to ask you if they threw the game. That's what he's going to ask.
Did they throw the game? Did they throw the Michigan game on purpose to avoid having to play the Big Ten title?
Go ahead and cut that off at the head there.
Ooh, boy.
That's what he's going to ask you.
Yeah. The tears that Ryan Day's daughters were spilling on the sideline would lead me to believe that they weren't involved in any of that plan. There's just no way.
Maybe he paid back in classes.
Yeah. I live in Columbus. This is as far as that conversation can go. Ohio State will never, ever throw the game. I'm
comfortable.
Conspiracy theories are fun, but I live here, so I can't participate in that one.
Okay, what about the second part though? Because I don't think the player.
This is where he gets back to the baseball bat question that we started with.
Yeah, I don't think the players will, because you're right. The players seem to very much care. So, but how many Ohio State fans are saying, "I don't want to win. I want to lose because I want Dave fired"? And I can just tell you the history behind this. Tennessee fans in 2017 were actively campaigning to hope Tennessee not only lost every game under Butch Jones, but failed to cover the spread in every game. And so, I mean, it got bad when they wanted Butch Jones fired. So how close is it to they don't even want to win a playoff game there?
Yeah. I mean, there is an element of the fan base that has said they are done with Ryan Day. They will not buy tickets. That is how they're going to voice their discontent with the program. They won't be there to support a home playoff game. And I think that I don't have any reason to believe that those people are lying about it, but I think some of the emotion, immediate raw emotion of losing to Michigan again, prompts some of that. Now, it won't maybe change everyone's mind, but we're now a week and a half removed from that loss. And as I said, some people are not ever going to get over it, and they will never forgive Ryan Day. And if that's the case, fine, so be it. That anyone can choose how to be a fan however they want. But there are now more people. Tickets are on sale now. We know that Tennessee fans will pay whatever they want on the secondary market.
Use the promo code AWARD.
Yeah, that'll get you
10% off.
It'll be twice
and a free see-through carry bag.
It's twice as expensive if you use that code.
Right.
And they check to see what area code you put in as your phone number.
Stop by the Winston tent for your free carton of Winstons. Remember those? All right,
oh boy, yeah. I'm gonna need some of those. I think that as this game gets closer, time heals all wounds. It may not make them 100% or feel as good as they did before, and the scars are going to be there. But we're now 9 days away from an SEC team. Ohio State fans have wanted for years for SEC teams to have to come into the horseshoe and primarily and do that when it gets cold. Like, this is the opportunity that they've been waiting for. It's the first time there's ever been a playoff game in Ohio Stadium. Tennessee is coming in there. There is a national title on the line. I find it incredibly difficult to believe that a fan base as passionate as this would have, I don't know, more than 5% unwilling to cheer for their own team.
I mean, you have to realize you could still win a national. I mean, this conversation changes drastically if Ohio State wins it all. Ryan Day's getting a new lifetime contract. I mean, and it could happen because I don't know about you, and I'll leave you on this, but I really feel like this is the first year that I have seen the level of football come closer together from the top and bottom of the major conferences. But I feel like the level of football has gotten better as a whole because guys realize you show up and you work hard and you do the right thing, you make some money. I'm just curious, your thoughts on the level of football that we saw this season.
I think that at the top, we're used to there being 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 like truly elite teams. And maybe that is still the case. But they were not able to play at that level every single week, which is getting more. I think that's the part is becoming more difficult in the transfer portal era, in the NIL era, I think, to, go out and dominate every single opponent and go undefeated. Oregon did that, but they were also 1 second away from losing a home game to Ohio State in October. So, it's more difficult than ever to piece together rosters that are able to play with that level of execution and emotion, like 12, 13, and then 15, 16, 17 times in a row, Dave. Like, I didn't watch every single game in the SEC every week, but the level of football, it's like, my opinion from what I saw in the Big Ten is that the ceiling came down for maybe the top 5, 6 teams in the league, but the floor was raised at the bottom. Maybe not Purdue, but or Maryland, but almost everybody else. And it was going to be more competitive every time out. And I think that's good for college football as a whole. It may not be as great to be an Ohio State fan if you want them to win every game by 50 points. But
it sounds crazy, but they're going to have to get used to 10 wins is a good season. Losing to Michigan, you can still win everything.
Well, that's the thing, Dave. The reason that there's so much frustration right now is if those 2 losses had been to Oregon and pick anybody else on the schedule and beat Michigan, we would not be having any of these conversations. And it's when you're talking about evaluating success and the bar for that, like the week before, Ohio State completely handled a top 10 team. And whether we think that Indiana has any chance of beating Notre Dame or winning a national championship is beside the point. That was an undefeated opponent. That was the week before. And everyone was saying, well, here's Ryan Day improving his top 5 record again. He beats Penn State and Indiana in the month of November. But ultimately, most people evaluate him on that one game in particular. And that may not ever change outside the program, but in the athletic department and in the Woody, as badly as they want to beat Michigan, they would also very much like to be hoisting a trophy in the third, Monday night of January. So that's the reality of college football. And I know not everyone likes it, but it's the situation now. And hopefully by 8:00 on December 21st, everybody is on board with that, because I think it's going to be a hell of a game.
No, I do too. Do you know who you're picking in this game yet?
I think this is going to, I'm taking the under for sure.
I think it's smart.
I think Ohio State will win this game. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rock fight, and it's going to be cold and dark, and something around like 24-13, I think, is about where I've got it. And I do think Ohio State will win.
Okay. Hey, I sent you a picture, Caleb. Can you pull this picture up there of me and the young Austin Ward?
Oh,
Where,
no.
Did you send it to me in an email?
No, I sent it to you in a text. You can pull it up, can't you?
Not in a. I can't put a text on the. Well, I can try to show it.
Oh, come on, Caleb. I mean, goodness gracious, this is what we pay the big bucks for, right?
Yeah,
you didn't. You should have told me. You sent me a picture.
Okay, well, I just did. I did. So this is a picture. This is we do a segment called "What the H." This is the ultimate "What the H." This is
no.
Yeah, that's Dave Hooker and Austin Ward standing around Mr. Lane Kiffin as he's getting ready to board a plane for LA. That was no question the ultimate.
What was he thinking?
That was the ultimate what the H.
They earlier this week, Dave, I was co-hosting a radio show, and they asked me about what it was like to cover Lane and like the most interesting time that I had covering Tennessee. And I was like, well, how much time you got in this segment? Because that was the longest night and the longest 72 hours of my entire life. Forget about journalism, professionalism, like just not sleeping for 3 days. You and I just driving around Knoxville, constantly working the phones, but also like texting Lane Kiffin at 3 a.m. in the morning. Tennessee cut off his phone. And then I was in the indoor facility at like 7 a.m. until when was that? Like 1 p.m. Just standing.
Yeah, I remember they wheeled out the Ed Orgeron's
the Red Bull
case, and I was like, you got to take a picture of that. Why? It's just you need to take a picture of that.
Yeah. I'm glad we had those special memories, Dave.
I remember before the Bud Ford press conference that created some sort of a weird journalistic issue, and I know Caleb's seen it. And Austin and I always had a great working relationship. So he would be like, do you want to cover this or this? And I don't know that we ever disagreed about it.
I don't think so.
He said, "Do you want to go outside and get the players, or stay here?" And you said, "It doesn't matter. It's up to you." And I go, "There are no losers here. There are no losers here. We're both gonna enjoy this."
By the time that wrapped up upstairs, and I got down to the street when the mattresses and couches were on fire, and there were current players, as the statute of limitations removed, I think it was Chris Walker who had like just fire breathing. Night before classes resumed, breath coming out of his mouth. Like, we were getting some very interesting quotes from the Vols that night.
Yeah, my what they call it, your lead quote was, "I don't give a bleep." One anonymous Tennessee player said, "Let's burn the whole bleeping place down."
That was a wild time to be alive, my friend.
He is Austin Ward. I'm Dave Hooker. Austin, enjoy the game. Enjoy your interview here with the Ohio State athletics director, I believe you said, and we appreciate you more than you know.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going, Austin.
Austin Ward, nice enough to join us. Follow him at A Ward Sports. Stay tuned. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. This day in Tennessee sports history coming up next. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, represented by Banks & Jones.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best in fire prevention.
With our brand new location on Emory Road, Eye Care Optical is bringing East Tennessee's best eye care to your neighborhood. Doctors Johnston and Combs offer unmatched expertise and care without a trip to Knoxville. Eye Care Optical, now in Powell.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at NFC1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
When the lights turn on and the game begins, you need a team that gets the job done. It's Ford commercial truck season at Varner Ford in Clinton, where our strong lineup is built for power and performance. Step up your game in this new 24 F-150 4x4 Super Crew, $46,997. At 250 cargo van, $50,950. 24 Ford Maverick XLT Hybrid, $28,929.
Local you trust, performance you can afford. Varner Ford, built for the game.
The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
Who's this guy?
Hello, wizard.
The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of Off the Hook Sports, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
All right, welcome back to the program. As we appreciate if you hit that thumbs up button, the like button. So we appreciate that. If you subscribe, this day in Tennessee sports history is right now. And then we're going to dive into Bill Belichick did actually return to North Carolina, what that means for Tennessee. I think it means you miss out on one or two prospects a year that are going to go there, and they're going to be enchanted by the idea of coaching for him. But Caleb doesn't think that'll be the case. Dylan Sampson named the AP SEC Player of the Year. NCAA talk, they want to expand to 76 games. Why not just do it midway? Because that's essentially what they decide that they want to do when they want to do it to make a little more money. Sorry, Caleb, I took your Bill Cosby impression.
No, that wasn't a Bill Cosby impression. I don't know what that was, but
that was more money. Sports Treasures carrying over 5 million. Sports Treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best in sports memorabilia, daily updates. Sports Treasures TN. That's Sports Treasures TN, and also our friends at the UPS Store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses. Wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. So, Caleb Calhoun, what do you got for me on this day in Tennessee sports history?
On this day in Tennessee sports history, 23 years ago, John Henderson became the first defensive player for Tennessee in 30 years to be named a two-time All-American.
Ooh, in 30 years. So that would put it at approximately late 60s, early 70s, right?
1971.
Okay, so 71. Jackie Walker?
Yes, nailed it. Jackie Walker. He's got a statue outside of Neyland Stadium. Yes. John Henderson, 30 years after Jackie Walker. Now, some people will say Dale Carter in 90 and 91, but what people don't know is Dale Carter was an All-American as a return specialist those 2 years, so not as a defensive player. After John Henderson, though,
admit it, you're impressed by the Jackie Walker call.
I'm impressed. Yes, I am very impressed. After John Henderson, the only two-time All-American since him was this is the most obvious question in the world, Dave. Since John Henderson, who's the only two-time Tennessee All-American?
Since John Henderson, it's Eric Berry.
Yes, Eric Berry, 2008 and 2009. Yep, and John Henderson and Eric Berry both won the award for the best player at their position and were two-time All-Americans. Probably two of the, in college, maybe the two most accomplished defensive players in Tennessee history.
Okay. Think of a poll question around those lines. How about other than a quarterback, which Tennessee player would you most want to see in person? Because we're going to talk about Dylan Sampson just having one of the best seasons of all time. Put Doug Adkins on there if you don't mind. Put if for some of our younger ones, they may want to see Eric Berry, but I'm curious who's out there. And we'll get into that.
Wilson, maybe.
Yeah. Work Truck's all about trucks that are actually available, trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering, while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for Work Trucks. Cargo vans, utility body trucks with an app-hide work bodies installed. They'll do it all. If you're a contractor, no dealership run around. Work Trucks carries the trucks you have to save your business money, and that means cash. Work Trucks. They'll find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your needs to a T. Work Trucks with an XLLC.com. Proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. So I just can't say enough how it's a bit of a head scratcher for me that Dylan Sampson has not gotten more national notoriety out of what he's done this year. And I know he got named AP SEC Player of the Year, but if that's not an All-American type of effort, with Ashton Genty being the other one, I don't know what is. So we'll see if that comes out. But just from a national perspective, it doesn't seem like he's getting the love, so to speak. And I don't know why that is. Is that because he plays running back and that position has been even more devalued since the last time Tennessee went through a situation like this, which would be Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurd?
I think it's because people are still, and for those questioning, Dylan Sampson was named AP SEC Player of the Year. I think there is a question over, and this is where I think it really stands out, Dave. I think people are having a hard time understanding how a running back is the biggest star in Tennessee's offense. They still see the Josh Heupel offense from 2 years ago.
Well,
So
I'm very interested that you see it that way because I didn't know that you would, and that was my angle. I believe, Cooper kind of slipped up, and if you haven't watched the Vol Report lately, do so. It's brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. CityHeatandAir.com. He said something that as an offensive lineman, you're not supposed to ever say, right? You're not supposed to say, man, when he's in there, we really block hard for him. Because there should be no difference in who you block hard for.
No, there shouldn't.
Now, I've seen situations where a guy was a horse's A and he didn't get the best blocking. And
RG3.
Yeah, but I've seen it even up close. And usually those guys get over that in a short amount of time. I've seen other players too that I don't care what you say, that the offensive line has taken an onus on protecting this young man and making sure that he'll have success. The most obvious example is Travis Stevens in 2001, who by all accounts was not big enough to have one of the greatest seasons in Tennessee running back history. Well, now Dylan Sampson has done the same. And Dylan Sampson should be held in incredibly high regard. I hate to say this because it's like the curse of death. I think he's a perfect fit for a tailback nowadays in the NFL. He reminds me of Troy Pollard a little bit. I think he's going to do well, but the problem is they're just not valued as much as they should be. But listen, if you want a little something extra in your locker room, then Dylan Sampson's a running back you need to pick if you're in the NFL.
Yeah, so Dylan Sampson, to me, I think. So you think, and we talked about this earlier in the year. Cooper Mays, funny enough, himself talked about how Dylan Sampson was a leader, which we had never heard from a running back before.
He was the first to tell us that way back in 2021, actually.
Yes, he did. I think Dylan Sampson, because he's a leader, I think there is a vibe that there is players who. I don't think it's purposeful, but I think if you really love a guy, you do just block a little extra for him that day. I mean, you've seen that for a head coach, Dave, haven't you? Haven't you seen head coaches that players play a little bit harder for because they really love their head coach? And just there's kind of like, I mean, look, whatever else you can say about Ed Orgeron, I think players play hard for him because they did love him.
Here's what I think he does. I think he inspires them because he's not the biggest guy in the world. And he's not as small as Travis Stevens, so I don't want to over compare there, but he is not the biggest guy. So when he takes punishment, Caleb. And I think he's good at a couple of different things. And I think even though one of those offensive linemen may never tell him as much, he has made them look better on tape. He is very good at reading his blockers. There have been times where they've made mistakes and he's made them look better on tape. Now, an astute NFL scout's going to say, well, no, he kind of got some help there. But anybody that just takes a look at it, they're going to say, wow, this guy can really run. And so I think he's helped them on tape as well. And I think that makes you want to block harder for somebody.
No, I totally agree. Let's compare real quick, just going all the way back. I'm looking at the AP Players of the Year. The last running back from the SEC to be named AP Player of the Year, Dave, was Kerryon Johnson at Auburn in 2017.
Okay.
Before that, Derrick Henry in 2015. Before that, Trey Mason at Auburn in 2013. And sorry, I can't say this with a straight face. Trent Richardson in 2011. And Mark Ingram in 2009. But Tim Tebow, Mark Ingram split it in 2009. Interestingly enough, coaches gave it to Tebow. AP gave it to Mark Ingram. The AP was right. Mark Ingram had a better year in 2009 than Tim Tebow did. But Trent, if you guys notice, it's a bit of a mixed bag on the success of being on this list as a running back, because Trent Richardson is the absolute worst running back in the history of running backs.
Congratulations. Your home search just got easier. Chattanooga Mortgage, buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. They'll help you fix your credit as well. Again, Chat Mortgage, chat with 2 T's, mortgage.com. What are the tailbacks that you just read off have in common that did not have success in the NFL?
The ones that didn't have success in the NFL?
Did not have success. Give me the ones that did not have success.
I would say Kerryon Johnson didn't have any real success. Trent Richardson didn't have any real success. And Trey Mason didn't have any real success. All of them made the NFL. Trey Mason had a good rookie year. He had like 765 yards, but not much after that. But yeah, the 2 Auburn running backs and Trent Richardson.
Well, other than Trey Mason, he's not going to fit this, but I just wondered how many were power backs. And I wonder if that's something that Tennessee brings up to its running backs in recruiting is you're not going to get hit nearly as much, and you're going to learn the NFL game. Whereas I think you would agree, Trent Richardson, Mark Ingram, those guys were going to run between the tackles, and that they were only going to learn how to play one style of football, essentially.
Yeah. Ingram is, to me, like a lesser Derrick Henry in the NFL. Not as tall, obviously, but he's had success. I think what combines them all, Trent Richardson, Trey Mason, and Kerryon Johnson, is this. They were just a product of who they played for. Trent Richardson ran behind the greatest offensive line in maybe SEC football history that year in Alabama. And Kerryon Johnson and Trey Mason, Dave, you know Gus Malzahn's offense. There's always going to be a running back that gashes you for lots of yards in that offense. And so I think that's all that happened in those 2 seasons. So those are Gus Malzahn's 2 best seasons at Auburn. And in both instances, lots of yards were gained by the running back. I don't think it meant anything, though. So I don't know, like Dylan Sampson, you can't really call it like, you can't call this the result of a system. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, totally. This is about the way he reads offenses and the way he reads defenses, the way he makes cuts. And same thing for Travis Stevens in 2001. Now, I don't know that that'll transfer to the NFL necessarily because of size, but no, I think it was actually more about their ability than it was about the rest of the team's ability. I didn't feel like the rest of the team ever scared you to the point where you started feeling like you had to get people out of the box.
Yeah, exactly. And the last Tennessee running back to be named SEC Player of the Year was, you ready for this? Yes.
The last SEC.
The last Tennessee running back to be named SEC Player of the Year.
Oof. I'm going to go with Travis Henry.
No, that year, 2000, Rudy Johnson at Auburn won it.
I thought you said the last Tennessee one.
Yeah, the last Tennessee running back to be named SEC Player of the Year.
Okay. And that goes back to 2000?
No, this goes back to the founding of the SEC.
Oh, okay. Well, that's more difficult to get. And that was Rudy Johnson.
Well, Rudy Johnson won SEC Player of the Year in 2000 when you said Travis Henry. But I'm saying, like, Rudy Johnson won it in 2000. Rex Grossman won it in 2001 because you would think Travis Stevens would have won it in 2001. But Rex Grossman, I mean, to be fair, that was the best year a Steve Spurrier quarterback had. Better than any year Danny Werfel even had at Florida. But no, the last Tennessee running back to be named SEC Player of the Year was Johnny Majors in 1956. That's who Dylan Sampson's in company with.
Pretty good stuff. All right, stay tuned. He is Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
24 F-150 4x4 Super Crew, $46,997. 24 Ford Transit 250 Cargo Van, $50,950. 24 Ford Maverick XLT Hybrid, $28,929. Local you trust, power you can afford.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your pair.
With our brand new location on Emory Road, Eye Care Optical is bringing East Tennessee's best eye care to your neighborhood. Doctors Johnston and Combs offer unmatched expertise and care without a trip to Knoxville. Eye Care Optical, now in Powell.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best in fire prevention.
The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
Who's this guy?
Hello, wizard.
The Dave Hooker Show,
Who?
a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.
What?
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
Oh, some of you complaining about sponsors. That's why we're here. That's why we can pay the bills. We appreciate you, and we don't beg you for super chats, but if you want to throw that in there, it goes to Quincy Calhoun's College Fund. Dylan Sampson, the AP SEC Player of the Year. Here's something I forgot to ask you. Is Tennessee's running back position will be better, actually, in 2025 as opposed to 2024.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best.
Yeah, Caleb, I know we wax poetic too often. People think sometimes we're overly optimistic, but I think Tennessee's running back position could be better in 2025 than it is this year. And they have the All-SEC AP Player of the Year at that position. I know that sounds crazy to say that.
No, I agree. And this is the problem. This is why running backs don't get paid, guys, because here's the truth of the matter, Dave. The position has gotten too good. The running backs are too good at their job now. Too many running backs are too good at their job. And so it wasn't like back
also they haven't been asked to do as much.
Yeah, but like back in the day, you got an elite running back that was, those guys were rare. I think, I think what made Emmitt Smith so good was there weren't that many Emmitt Smiths back in 1993. I think there's about 25 Emmitt Smiths now in the NFL. And so that's what's so crazy about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I also, when I look at the running back position, I don't think enough is being asked of it currently. I mean, where are those little slip it off into the flats, which is an extension of the running game? Where are those? It seems like a team is either completely vertical or completely horizontal one day or the next. And yes, I'm semi-referring to Josh Heupel.
True, but you are a huge Emmitt Smith fan. Was he ever asked to do that, though? Because all they did was just go vertical and throw it down the field. It was either he takes the ball or they chuck it up to Michael Irvin or Alvin Harper.
He catch something in the flat every once in a while. He would, just to keep teams honest. You got to remember they ran the most simplistic offense in the history of man.
North Turner got a head coaching job off that.
Yes, I mean you had to do something to give somebody a somewhat different look. The 2025 schedule is out.
Before we do that, Let's go ahead and do stat of the day now because it ties into what we just talked about.
Okay, stat of the day is right now. What do you got? Stat of the day, Caleb.
So, Dylan Sampson just won AP Offensive Player of the Year. That is the second time in 3 years a Tennessee player has won it because Hendon Hooker won it in 2022. The last 7 Offensive Players of the Year, dating back to 2018, all went to New York for the Heisman ceremony, except for the 2 Tennessee ones, Hendon Hooker and Dylan Sampson. Even crazier, the last 5 offensive players of the year, Devontae Smith, Bryce Young, and Jane Daniels all won the Heisman. Somehow Hendon Hooker and Dylan Sampson didn't even get invited to New York for the Heisman ceremony.
The kick in the gut of the day is brought to you by our good friends at Joe Neubert Collision Center. For nearly 50 years, Neubert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. That was a brutal one, Caleb. Also want to thank our friends at Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. RickTerryJewelry.com. All right, Caleb. So if you want to pull it up, the schedule is out for next season. And it's funny, we were just joking about this. I mean, we're living this Nexus crazy era of college football. We weren't even sure if Tennessee would continue to play the opponents that they played, like Arkansas, and they do a home and home there. We weren't even really sure. But we now have a schedule, and it's nice to have that. Usually they make a big production out of it, but I get the feeling that the SEC just wants to churn this thing out like a Saturday newspaper. All right, so what do we got on the schedule? What are your early impressions?
Yeah, so the schedule. The 2025 schedule kicks off with Tennessee facing Syracuse in Atlanta, the Aflac kickoff game. Then they play East Tennessee State on September the 6th. It's basically this year for the SEC, it's this past year's schedule, just reverse home and away. They play, I kid you not, Dave, Georgia week 3, September the 13th. That's the SEC opener for Tennessee this year. Then you have UAB at Mississippi State, and after Mississippi State, they have the bye with Arkansas. They have a bye, and then they host Arkansas. Then they visit Alabama, they visit Kentucky, they host Oklahoma, another bye, and they host New Mexico State. Then they visit Florida, and then they close with Vanderbilt at home. So their 2 byes are not really where you want your byes to be, because they're before playing New Mexico State and before playing Arkansas at home. You would obviously much rather your byes be before Georgia and before Alabama and even Florida, but that's not the case.
Yeah, Tennessee didn't get done any favors by this schedule, but I mean, that's not going to be the case anymore. Listen, if you look at Tennessee last year and you're putting the schedule together, you have to do one thing and one thing only, right, Caleb? It's go to Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
I mean, that's just too good a gold. I mean, you can't be a content creator, and that's what these guys are that put these schedules together, and not go there. So you have to go to Oklahoma. So that game's going to be on the schedule. And then the rest of it is, do you want to keep basically Kentucky, Florida, and Alabama? So that's essentially where they went with that. I don't know what you do with Kentucky long term. I feel like they're the kid that wants to be everybody's best friend, but nobody really likes hanging out with them. And I don't know, other than Louisville, if they have a natural opponent, but it's not Tennessee. And Tennessee doesn't feel like it's Tennessee. So if you need to make a break there, do so. But even more so, what you're seeing right now is this schedule is going to be malleable. It's going to be something that they can work with. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, because let's say, Tennessee has an opener against Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart could get a head coaching job with the Jacksonville Jaguars making $25 million, and he's gone. So it's not perfect. But, Caleb, to put Tennessee and Georgia up front in the schedule, get used to that. I think the days of having the 3rd Saturday in October, which they'll try to keep going as long as they can, but of having the Florida game in September, of having the Georgia game a little bit, I think those are gone. I think it's where it fits best in TV land. And I guess it just depends on what kind of weather you like, whether or not you want it to be early or late in the season. But I mean, clearly this is a TV grab. I guarantee you can look at the schedule right now, and there's not another marquee game going against Tennessee, Georgia, which will be at 7:30 at night.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was the big reason they did that. This used to be saved for Tennessee, Florida. And doesn't this really show how little faith they have in Florida as a program under Billy Napier going forward? Because
I thought there was a chance that you might go there. But they're not even, I think they would just change it up. I think if Kirby Smart wanted to go to the NFL and Billy Napier kind of got things rolling, I think they would move up the Florida game. So no, I guess to answer your question, I think the one that they don't want to move on the entire schedule is the third Saturday in October. And we could debate whether or not that's a big deal or not. But no, I think if Kirby Smart went off to the NFL and Billy Napier started having success, they would just switch it up and have Florida, Tennessee play in the earlier game.
You're probably right. Now, of course, because Greg Sankey is employed by the Longhorns now, I don't know if you know this, Dave, but Texas gets its bye before they play Georgia. Wow. Magically, Texas got their bye before their biggest game of the year. I'm sure there's no protections whatsoever for the Longhorns. I'm sure the SEC isn't working overtime to make sure they get preferential treatment. Do you, Dave? You don't think they're doing that, do they?
I think it's pretty clear that the SEC wants Texas to be in that foil, at least, position. Whether or not they're a champion or not, I think they make for a great foil. To me, and I know you don't keep up with wrestling, and neither did I, but I did watch.
No, I do.
Oh,
I used to.
Okay, so this is right now. Georgia is Hulk Hogan. Okay, and then the big, huge monster foil is Andre the Giant,
which is Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I could absolutely.
That's what they're doing, and they want, and they want, they feel like they need, as if they haven't had enough because it's happened twice this year. I think they feel like they need that, that big moment. What do they used to call the big wrestling things where they all get together and wrestle around in spandex and stuff? WrestleMania. I feel like they need that big WrestleMania 10 where the Hulk flipped Andre the Giant. I feel like that's what they're shooting for.
Well, at that point, Texas is Hulk Hogan and Georgia's Andre the Giant, and they need the moment where Texas finally gets the win. But you know,
yeah, but Texas is on its way out.
Right, but Texas has lost to them at home. They've lost to them on a neutral field. Now they have to go to Georgia. The SEC's working overtime. Like, come on, Texas, please beat Georgia once for us. I think they want Texas to win because Texas is such a draw. They have worked. I'm sorry, y'all. They have worked overtime to give Texas every single benefit since joining the SEC, notwithstanding the easiest schedule they could possibly give them last year. So
I agree. I think they want them to be the foil. I think that they would have been fine with Alabama being the foil, to whichever one would be the foil to Georgia. One would be the protagonist, one would be the antagonist, but whichever. I think they were fine with that playing out. But when Nick Saban retired, they feel like they had to find a foil.
And they had already punished Nick Saban in Alabama, too, with the most ridiculously difficult schedule this past year. Now, that doesn't mean Alabama deserved to go to the playoff. You know, you don't lose 24-3 to Oklahoma in the second to last week of the season. But, yeah, that's I think the real story is it's very suspicious how Texas keeps getting breaks in their schedule that aren't just based that are up to discretion. I'm just going to say that.
I got no argument with that. You definitely don't have to argue with me on that. National Fitness Center, unmatched value, limitless options. Begin your fitness journey today. NFC1.com, NFC1.com. And don't forget about TristarHatsCo.com, TristarHatsCo.com. You can order the very hats pictured here and use the promo code HOOKED and get 10% off.
Have you seen the latest TriStar Hats Co. product?
TriStar Hats Co.? What's that?
You know, those really cool hats, shirts, tumblers, and even license plates with 3 stars like the official Tennessee flag and stripes like the American flag. Pretty patriotic if you ask me.
Ah, gotcha. Seen those. Those are cool. Where can I get them?
Simple. TristarHatsCo.com. And if you order now, there's 10% on any order $50 or more. Plus, use the promo code HOOKED.
With the promo code HOOKED, you get 10% off. That's hooked.
And don't forget free shipping with any order over $50. Stock up at TristarHatsCo.com. That's TristarHatsCo.com. There are plenty of wannabes out there, so make sure you go to TristarHatsCo.com for the best quality and customer service.
Will do, and I'll be sure to use the promo code HOOKED. That's hooked when I do to save an additional 10% off. TristarHatsCo.com.
TriStar Hats Co. is a trademark of TriStar Hats Co. LLC. Any use without
Stat of the day, Caleb. What do we got?
Oh, I just gave it to you. Already the Dylan Sampson stat. Dylan Sampson and Hendon Hooker, the only two.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one. And we've done this day in Tennessee sports history as well, right?
Yep. So we are good.
Total track.
We're moving fast, Dave. I know, it's shocking.
Yeah, I know. It is unbelievable. All right. So wanted to get into Tennessee and what they're going to be facing in North Carolina now, because I believe that there's cause for concern with Bill Belichick being in North Carolina. I think he gives that program an immediate amount of legitimacy. I've seen other programs add in some NIL cash to that, and then boom, there's something. You don't want something in North Carolina. And Bill Belichick's going to win a recruiting battle or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 12, and some of those are going to come against Tennessee. You would have much rather seen them hold on to Mac Brown, or even maybe go in like the young, exciting guy who shows up, like a Josh Heupel. I just think when you bring Bill Belichick into the fold, that's a lot of panache right there.
This dude has never coached a lick in college in his life.
Not a lick.
Not a lick. Not 1 second. He's as prepared for this job as Barry Switzer was for the Cowboys job, except for the fact that Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl because the Cowboys team was already loaded and North Carolina is not loaded. Okay? Imagine, Dave, if in 1994 Barry Switzer took over the Cleveland Browns or the then Baltimore Ravens because they moved. How would he have done?
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have done all that great, but it's not like he has to do it by himself.
Bill Belichick. Okay, look. First of all, I think Bill Belichick misread his contract. I think they told Bill Belichick that you would be able to recruit all the 18-year-olds you want, and then he signs the contract, and they're like, oh, we're talking about 18-year-old football players, not 18-year-old girls.
Wondering when that would show itself to light. The massage.
Who likes him younger, Bill Belichick or Lane? Dave, can that be our poll question? Who likes him younger, Bill Belichick, Dave?
There. Okay,
Lane
so
Kiffin.
What else are you going to say? What's your next quippy thing about Bill Belichick and his?
He's not going to be able to Bill Belichick is actually a good teacher, from what I've heard. I've heard actually that was his strength in the NFL. Funny enough, was he actually did teach rookies well, and he was able to develop them. So that is a good strength. Bill Belichick's not going to be able to recruit. That name's not going to recruit enough. I'm sorry. You might as well just hire Michael Jordan as your football coach at this point and be like, Michael Jordan's name going to recruit, even though he doesn't even know football. Michael Jordan has put his, you talk about the name Belichick recruiting, but Michael Jordan has plastered his face all over North Carolina for every sport. That hasn't drawn in one recruit. Okay? They're not going to win these recruiting battles. It's not going to happen. This is a kind of embarrassing move for Bill Belichick, honestly. But the reason he did it is because he wants a place that's going to give him total control, because he absolutely refuses to accept the fact that he can't be the GM, even though, in case you followed him in New England, heck of a coach, not a good GM, not a good talent evaluator. That is his huge weakness. So I'm sorry, this is not a good hire. It will flop.
Okay. Bank on it, brought to you by Commercial Bank. Here's why you should be concerned, and we'll take a look at the poll question. Commercial Bank, I'm telling you what, man, when it comes to Commercial Bank, I was there once again yesterday, and I always leave with a smile on my face. I get treated like family. Absolutely love Commercial Bank. Member FDIC, life made better, CBTN.com.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank.
All right, Caleb. So you tell me, what's our poll question?
Will Bill Belichick give Tennessee? Are you worried about Bill Belichick and recruiting? Wow, Dave, you had to use the word.
What?
No, he's not ready. Yes, he'll massage the situation. That doesn't even make sense.
No, he'll massage because he likes massage parlors.
No, that's Robert Kraft. That's Robert Kraft who likes the massage parlors.
Well, let's go ahead and delete that then.
Yeah, Bill Belichick just likes him young.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
he's got a 24-year-old fiance.
Oh, well,
That's what I mean. No, the question is, can we do it? Who wants some younger Bill Belichick, Lane Kiffin?
hey, you didn't even think about this, but think about this for just a second, because you may have missed on this. He could actually be going back to school to get his wife a discount.
To get his fiance a discount.
Yes. If he is, I mean, think about it for a second, but it's not as crazy as when it first hit you, because you think about that. I've been told that those discounts are upwards of 50%, and North Carolina is a very expensive school to go to. So if he's able to get her a discount, that just pays back into the championship kitty, basically.
Oh my gosh. And see, that would help. Then he would lose control of his team, though, because as we saw with Ed Orgeron, as much as the players loved him, they didn't like him bringing all the new cheerleaders he was dating around practice.
Wasn't quite aware of that. So is he entering a target-rich environment? Is that what we're worried about?
I mean, it's what it seems like. I'm just saying he is he is engaged to a 24-year-old, and he is 72. But yeah. So Bill Belichick, as a coach, I don't know what. First of all, story goes he's saying that he's sickened by the politics of the NFL. So you're going to go to college, which has way more politics.
Well, he didn't get an NFL job. Is a problem.
No, but let's not forget why he didn't get an NFL job, because he refused to go anywhere that wouldn't make him the GM. He thinks he's the best talent evaluator. This is why I think he's going to fail at North Carolina. Part of building the program, Dave, you're not going to be able to recruit through the roof off the bat. You're going to have to evaluate some talent. You think Bill Belichick can evaluate?
Be better at that than most people.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's that good of a talent evaluator. I think he's a great coach, bad talent evaluator. That's why the Patriots fell apart later after Tom Brady left. He was actually still coaching well. It's that the talent evaluation was bad. Remember when he got to New England, Dave, even you remember this. You know this. Most of that Hall of Fame defense was put together before he took over as the Patriots head coach in 2001.
Yeah, but let's not start not giving Bill Belichick credit, okay?
No, he is the best coach of all time. He's not the best GM. You kind of have to be both in college. You have to evaluate the talent. Great coaches don't have to evaluate anything in the NFL if they got a good GM behind them. So that's where the huge difference is. This is not going to work. One, he's so unlikable. The minute Bill Belichick's in your home, hey, you can play for North Carolina.
Surely he is a very affable man behind closed doors.
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, what's our poll question?
Our new poll question is, I would let Bill Belichick date my daughter.
Okay, we'll have the results. We'll have the results of that here in just a moment. As I remind you that you got to stop by Dynasty Pools and Spas. What does our audience say? Would you allow Bill Belichick to date your daughter in 60 seconds? All you got to do is stop by Dynasty Pools and Spas. They'll give you a free gift and $500 off any spa if you mention offthehooksports.com. But more pressing news as the daughter dating we'll discuss here in a moment. Dave Hooker here for Dynasty Pools and Spas, your home for the best spas and everything you need to jump right in. Relaxing, therapeutic, absolutely. But what sets Dynasty Pools and Spas apart from others is that you get everything with any spa purchase. You get the cover lift, the steps, delivery, and chemicals. When Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers your spa from their Athens location within 125 miles, you'll get your own personal hydrotherapy spa. Mention me, Dave Hooker, or Off the Hook Sports, and get $500 off your top quality new spa. Dynasty Pools and Spas, just off the Athens exit. Drop in and receive a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for a drop-in prize and that $500 discount, Dynasty Pools and Spas. To check out some of the Dynasty Spa models and to buy spa chemicals, go to dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. So where's our poll question stand, Caleb?
Would you let Bill Belichick date your daughter? I would let him date my daughter. 92% no way, 8%. You know it.
So, I mean, you got to think about the finances that come in.
Okay. Would you rather your daughter marry Bill Belichick, Lane Kiffin, or Bruce Pearl?
Wait.
Let's put that poll question up.
Okay. Well, what kind of post-nup or prenup are we talking about?
No prenup.
Okay. I don't know. Give me the 3 again.
Would you rather your daughter marry Bill Belichick?
No.
Lane Kiffin?
It's fine.
Or Bruce Pearl?
Sure. Yeah, I could work with that. I could work with any of those 2 last guys I covered. They're pretty good dudes. I mean, I guess. I mean, you're the one that asked the weird question.
Which one would you rather your daughter marry? Bill Belichick, Lane Kiffin, Bruce Pearl? People are actually voting. Then Bill Belichick is leading right now. Bill Belichick has a plurality.
Well, given those, I'd probably, I don't know. All right. The NCAA tournament's going to expand to 76 teams. It's just a matter of time. And Caleb, I know where you stand on the college football playoff, and I've heard about it a lot, and you weren't a fan of it from the get-go. Now that you've seen it, what would you think about further expansion of the NCAA basketball tournament?
I hate expanding tournaments. This is stupid. This is dumb. The talk is to expand it to 76 teams. Because then 77 can complain about being left out? How many times are we going? You know what, guys? Let's get rid of regular seasons. Let's just stop having them. Let's just stop having regular seasons. Everybody makes the tournament, and you start it the first week of every season. I'm so sick of, and this is every freaking sport. The NFL playoffs were perfect. 16 games, 12 teams. Like, no, we got to have a 17th game and go to 14 teams. And now baseball. Oh, we got to have 12 teams make the playoff. They were perfect at 8. This is just the NBA. More than half the NBA makes the playoffs now. NFL, the NCAA tournament now, 76 teams. What? So if you go 16 and 14 in one of the big conferences, you're automatically in the tournament? This is just stupid. This is dumb.
Yeah, and I think you'd have to go back and do the research, but I feel really confident on this research. And that is that, if you disagree, tell me, but there hasn't been a team outside of the top 40-ish RPI. It was probably, oh gosh, they're doing his fundraiser now. NC State. They were probably the lowest RPI team, and I want to say they were around low 30s. The bottom line is, if you're not in the top half of the tournament, you stand a very, very, very small chance of winning the tournament. I don't care who your draw is. Eventually, you're going to have to play a good basketball team.
Yes, I agree. And I don't like it when one of those teams gets hot and makes a run anyway, because the NCAA tournament is designed to kowtow and favor the lower seeds, honestly. And they do it on purpose because they want the upsets. Guys, we just had Austin Ward on, who talked about the significance of the Michigan-Ohio State game, even in the expanded playoff, because it went to 12 teams. But college basketball, unfortunately, no one feels that significance for Duke UNC. No one watches the Duke UNC game in college basketball and says, this is such a big game. Oh, I can't wait to see it. No, they say, one team won. Okay, back to my day. I don't care, because they're both going to the tournament. This is ridiculous. And now, I already hated it at 68. I would have brought it back down to 48. That's just me. But look, 76 teams? Dave, do you think those 8 teams are going to come from lower conferences?
Oh,
they're going to come from the SEC and Big Ten.
Well, they should, but you're absolutely right. They won't. Last Look brought to you by Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and On.
The first step to better vision is to visit ccteyes.com. The information you need is easy to access, and setting an appointment is as simple as clicking the tab. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and Eye Care Optical at ccteyes.com.
No, it's going to be the same thing that they have with the first 4 in or whatever it is.
Well, no, what I mean is
they're going to have to give it some sort of meaning. So it'll be like one named team, one not named team, one named team, one not named team. It'll be completely transparent to see through.
Yeah, but it's absolutely ridiculous. They're just going to add, 8 SEC.
You're preaching to the choir.
They're going to add 8 SEC and Big Ten teams. So now, if you're in the SEC and the Big Ten, or maybe Big 12 or wherever, if you go 16 and 14, you make the NCAA tournament. That's stupid. That's dumb. I mean, at what point do we say, okay, you know what? Here's how I can get on board. I can get on board with an expanded tournament. Ready for this, Dave? Want Caleb's fix?
Yes.
expand it to 96 teams. Or no, I'm sorry, expand it to 80 teams. Expand it to 80 teams. No, I'll go 96. Expand it to 96 teams. But every conference is guaranteed 2 bids. Every single one, even the smaller ones. So the top team in the regular season, so the regular season champion and the tournament champion get automatic bids. If you win both, or if you're a top 10 seed, let's say the top 10 to 15 seeds, they get to play the first weekend at home. Put value on the regular season so there's something to play for. I mean,
I'm not arguing with you at all. I mean, I think those would be great ideas, especially the fact that you had the regular season winner out there. I'm totally open to that. I would be totally open to that because I think there are a bunch of teams that we get excited about. And I know when a 16 beats a 1, we're all blown away, or when a 15 beats a 2, we're like, that's never happened before and stuff. But it doesn't happen very often, or we wouldn't make such a big deal about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of teams in that tournament that have absolutely no chance of winning that tournament.
Right. And it's, they get their little moment in the sun because they made some run. And, we get it. So isn't this so great for the sport of college basketball that this team that's not that good won 2 games in a gimmicky tournament? I love Cinderella stories and March Madness. I'm like, this is so ridiculous, guys. Come on. I mean, at this point, and here's the real truth. Here's the real kicker. You expanded to 76 teams, knowing it's going to be the SEC and Big Ten teams going. What is the incentive to play anybody worthwhile in November or December? I mean, maybe just rest your starters. I mean, load management's coming to college basketball, guys, by the way. Load management is coming to college basketball. You don't like it in the NBA, it's coming to college basketball.
Please don't say that. Please don't say load management's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. It's
they
coming
only
to college
play
basketball.
32 some games.
So what? Who cares? Again, you guys, everybody's like, this was the debate people had.
Is this a coach saying I'm going to utilize load management, or is this a player?
I think Rick Barnes is going to utilize it soon enough, and I wouldn't blame him. People are, and this is, what's so dumb? When people come to me and say, I love March Madness. How can you not love March Madness? You should want more March Madness. You should expand it.
He just went from Bill Cosby to Sling Blade.
No, they say, how can you not want more of something if you love it? Because sometimes what makes something great is that it's not expanded. How about that? Okay. It's kind of basic economics. Too much of something makes it not worthwhile anymore. Okay. So yeah, March Madness may be fun for the first 3 weeks. Why not? Why not just make it the whole season? I mean, this is ridiculous. People said the same thing to me with the college football playoff, and I'm going to rant on the playoff for a second, but how could you not want more college football? I don't know, because part of what makes it special is that it's not year round. The same with the people who start Christmas decorations on November the 1st. You're taking away things that make something special, okay? And this is ridiculous, and it's absolutely insane. By the way, the college football playoff this year should have only had 10 teams, okay? There was no reason for Indiana and SMU to be in, and Alabama didn't deserve to be in either. And I'm going on my rants because college basketball, they've already ruined the sport. The sport's stupid. I'm just going to say college basketball is a dumb sport. You watch number 1 play number 2 in the regular season, and you don't care because they're both going to be number 1 seeds. They're literally not playing for anything. They're not playing for anything when they play in the regular season. Who cares when Tennessee played Memphis in 2008, Dave, and it was 2 versus 1? It didn't matter. It meant nothing.
I don't know. I remember that. It was a big night, and I didn't cover basketball, but it was a big night.
Oh, it felt so good. Tennessee beat Memphis. Memphis still got the 1. Memphis still got the 1 seed. Tennessee got the 2 seed. Should have gotten a 1 seed. Tennessee was bounced out in the Sweet 16. It didn't matter. These games are irrelevant. 2 versus 1 is irrelevant in college basketball. It carries some weight, at least in college football, for like a first-round bye or something like that. But this is ridiculous. Stop expanding tournaments in every sport. Please, for the love of God.
I didn't agree with that, although I might not feel as strongly about it as you do. For Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We'll see you at 10 a.m. on Thursday. We always look forward to that. Also, later in the week, it'll be Will West and Ollie Lane that will join us. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.